Our third speaker is Nigel Costley from the South West Stakeholders and also from the South West TUC. And those of you who were at the conference last year will remember that he chaired a workshop there. He's been a keen advocate of the voluntary sector and has been a great supporter, so please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to just sort of intervene in your discussion around health and social care. My very brief contribution is to make a plug and explain who on earth are the South West stakeholders, what are they about, how does it fit in with your agendas, and what are we aiming to do? Who are they? I was privileged to be invited to chair this group fairly recently, and I suppose they are civil society in the South West, as you could best describe it in its broadest sense, from employers, trade unions, environmentalists, transport, housing, planning, equalities. There is a diversity of groups who represent those particular strands. They came together, or formed in more formal sense, under the banner of the Regional Assembly. And I think that of all the things that the Assembly did, and it was a controversial body, but actually the one thing we should be proud of, amongst a number of things, is the role of the social, economic, environmental partners. They brought a degree of expertise to the table. They brought a representative voice that councillors elected by small groups in their wards don't always have. They were, for us in the South West, particularly at a time when political parties were broadly equal in number, they held the balance. And actually they had a vote, but it was very, very rarely used, partly because they had a vote. People had to work to consensus. And I think that they brought a great strength to the region, and when the Assembly was abolished a few years ago, those partners felt it important to stick together, so they formed themselves as South West stakeholders. So what now? Are this group of people some relic of a past policy of the previous government to be swept aside along with all the other regional bodies, or are they the last people standing to be able to represent a region and to represent a view that you have to build prosperity with a purpose, which is to benefit the people of this region, and you cannot just drive an agenda based on business in a narrow way without taking account of people. You cannot drive an economy without taking into account equalities, environment, sustainable development. We had a meeting this morning, thanks to the South West Forum. We hijacked this room for a few hours and rattled through a lot of contributions. And just to give you a very, very short flavour, we had contributions from the Government Office to talking about some of the new policy ideas of the government, the Regional Growth Fund, and how that is going to be applied or allocated, and whether or not the South West is really going to get its fair share, whether or not other regions are going to speak with a louder voice and we are going to get left out. The development of local enterprise partnerships, you may know, we've been allocated to Cornwall and the west of England. I happen to think the whole process is a complete and utter shambles. But we have these two bodies that we're going to have to make work somehow. But are they going to be big enough to be strategic? They're supposedly business-led, but business in both those areas seem very unhappy about what's happening. What's the risks of the big projects in this region? Things that we should all be proud of. Things like the Wave Hub, the various innovation centres, the various projects that have transformed some of our deprived and depressed town and city centres. What is going to happen to those that haven't been completed? We heard about the economy and the state and what it might mean to the region. We heard about housing. Interestingly, the speaker from the Housing Federation spoke of the abolition of social housing as we know it, with rising rents, falling benefits, less security of tenure, frightening. He did start his contribution by inviting the squeamish to leave the room, and that was a flavour of other contributions. Transport, we have some of the worst transport provision in the country, yet the least funding. Sustainable development. And finally, this sense of a voice. Who is going to speak for the South West without a government office, without an RDA, without various important regional bodies having the clout, the resources and funding to speak up for us? So that's the job of the South West stakeholders, to make the case and try and make sure that the region still has a say, and those things that do need to be joined up above the level of local authorities are joined up, and that gaps are filled in. If you want to join, I mean, the South West Forum plays a really important part, but if you want to join directly, please let us know. Contacts through the forum if you need to. And I'd like to just close by thanking the forum who act as secretariat for the stakeholders, but have always been a key part. And in particular to Steve, to Roger and to Lynn for their work in looking after us and making sure that it works. Thank you very much.